Okay, have you ever been in a relationship where you couldn't tell if it was true love or maybe a huge red flag? You know that intense, all-consuming feeling? It can be absolutely intoxicating, but sometimes it's hiding something a lot more dangerous. So in this explainer, we're going to get into how you can actually tell the difference.
And right there, that's the heart of the problem, isn't it? The most confusing signs, they're not always the big, loud arguments or some obvious betrayal. No, sometimes they feel like intense chemistry, like you finally found the one person who just gets you. They're disguised as the very things we've been told to look for.
So that's the big question, right? And it's exactly what we're going to break down. We've put together a sort of 5-point checklist, a guide to the most subtle signals that can help you distinguish a healthy, amazing connection from one that's potentially harmful. And let's be super clear about this. Missing these signs has nothing to do with being naive or, not being smart. In fact, really intelligent, self-aware people fall into this all the time. The reason is pretty simple. These behaviors were shown to us as normal. Maybe in our families or in our first relationships, we learned that this is just what passion looks like.
All right, let's dive into our first signal. This one is incredibly common and it often just flies right under the radar. It's when your partner consistently makes you feel like your emotions are, well, wrong or unreasonable, even when they're totally normal. And this is exactly how it plays out. You have a completely valid emotional reaction to something, and they immediately flip it back on you. It's that classic, you're being too sensitive, or the relax, I was just joking. Look, this isn't about them having a bad sense of humor. It is a manipulation tactic. It's designed to make you question your own reality. And this is where it gets really dangerous. Because over time, you actually stop trusting your own gut. You start to walk on eggshells, constantly trying to predict their mood instead of just being yourself. This isn't just a minor issue in a relationship, it is the very first step on a pretty dark path towards emotional abuse.
So let's move on to our second signal, and you'll see how these things can build on each other. This one is all about inconsistency. It's that feeling of being on a constant emotional roller coaster. People sometimes call this intermittent warmth. One minute, they are just showering you with affection and attention, making you feel like you're the absolute center of their universe. And then the next, they pull away. They become distant, unavailable, and you have no idea why. We so often mistake this kind of drama for intense, romantic chemistry, but it's something else entirely. There's actually a name for this dynamic. It's called trauma bonding. That cycle of incredible highs and confusing lows creates this powerful anxiety-fueled attachment. Your brain literally gets addicted to the unpredictability of it all. It's like a slot machine. You just keep pulling that lever, hoping for the jackpot, hoping for that next hit of their affection. And paradoxically, the bond actually gets stronger because of the stress, not in spite of it. Okay, next up is signal number 3. Now, this one can feel absolutely amazing at first, but it is a major warning sign. And that is when a relationship moves forward at a completely unnatural speed. I mean, think about it like this. You're getting these huge, loud declarations of love in the very first week. By week 2, you're already making plans for the distant future. And within a month, it feels like you've known this person your entire life. Now, that might feel like a fairy tale, but real, genuine trust, it needs time to grow. This isn't trust, it's intensity. So you really have to ask yourself, what's the rush? While it feels incredibly romantic, speeding up intimacy like this is often a way to lock you in. It forges this really powerful bond before you've had a chance to build real trust, which makes it so much harder to spot the other red flags when they inevitably start to show up. All right, our final 2 signals are really 2 sides of the same coin. They both revolve around a complete inability to take any responsibility. Let's call it the always right, always the victim complex. This is the person who is genuinely never accountable. And we're not talking about just being a little stubborn sometimes. We're talking about a person where every single disagreement is somehow your fault. And if they do manage to apologize, it always comes with a but that puts the blame right back on you. A healthy relationship needs 2 people willing to work together and repair things. If one person just refuses to participate, it's impossible. So this inability to take the blame, it leads us directly to our 5th and final signal. And to spot this one, all you have to do is listen. Just pay really close attention to how they talk about everyone from their past, their exes, old friends, even their own family. And pretty soon, you'll start to notice a pattern. Every single one of their exes was crazy. Every friend that's no longer in their life was disloyal. Their family is just so toxic. Well, if everyone in their past is the problem, you have to ask yourself, what is the one common denominator in all of those failed relationships? So, okay, we've looked at devalued feelings, emotional roller coasters, that abnormal speed, and the whole victim complex. What does this all add up to? Well, the single most important takeaway from all of this is you have to learn to trust yourself. And honestly, that's what makes this so difficult. The most dangerous red flags aren't big explosions. They're more like slow leaks. They are these small, repeated behaviors that just give you that nagging feeling in your gut. They're so easy to dismiss one by one, but when you put them all together, they create a seriously unstable foundation for a relationship.
Now look, the point of all this is not to make you paranoid or mistrustful of every single person you meet. Not at all. The goal is to become literate in relationships. It's about giving yourself the knowledge to build something healthy and to recognize when something isn't, so that you can make empowered choices for yourself. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. After going through all of this, what is one behavior, maybe something you've always just thought of as normal, or just part of a passionate romance, that you are now ready to look at with fresh eyes? Something to think about.